sociology and so forth. I used a lot of theory in my first books to
Yes.
try to explain why women's lives were important. And in that sense, they were academic. And this one is, the theory isn't there anymore. I know them.
I know, not that I prepared you for any of my questions, but can you remember a section, a paragraph that you would like to read that you are especially proud of? Any come to mind?
Oh my goodness.
How
Sure.
about this one? Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. She quoted John's words that he had written in his 1763. Okay, anything that comes to mind, a little short paragraph that you really know?
If you keep your finger in that bag, the page before.
Yes.
You want me to read it?
Sure. I'm not good
Sure.
at reading, really.
Here's
We like to hear your voice.
Let's see. This describes Abigail writing a letter to her husband in 1776. In fact, it was March 31st, 1776. And this isn't planned. You just happened to put your finger on a page where I knew this would be.
My wife picked it out for me.
Alone at her kitchen table at night, writing by candlelight as her household slept, Abigail had time to focus her mind, and her thoughts drifted to the forum in Philadelphia and her husband. This was her moment to consider issues that were most important to her, so she initiated a seditious topic. "I long to hear that you've declared an independency," she wrote. "And by the way, in the new code of laws, which I suppose it will be necessary for you to make, I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power into the hands of husbands." This was an audacious move. Again, as she sat, her thoughts carried her into a territory that was more revolutionary than any American, male or female, had wandered in the course of their rebellious considerations. The statement that you read, remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. In that statement, it's not equivalent to the one I just read about remember the ladies, because it's not a feminist statement. It's not arguing that all men would be tyrant. It's men in a generic sense. And John had written that himself. And it comes from their Puritan background. And what they believe is that all power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, if you will. That's a different way of saying, remember, all men would be tyrants if they could.
Yes.
So, and then that was what she was reminding John and in that statement.
I think the content is very moving and insightful. I mean, I learned from it, but then also the style is so easy to take. I mean, there's a level of intellectualism, but it just stays away from the slow academic droll. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. I know these people well. I mean, they're my family. They're my other family. I've written about them for 30, 35 years, and I know them very well. And so I'm comfortable with them.
Okay, do you have ideas for another book?
Oh, yes. Always, always. One has to keep working, right?
Yes.
I mean, and one always has to start a new project. Yes, I do. And it will be with the Adamses, and I'm not quite sure. I hesitate to say that it's going to be about John Quincy Adams, but I will say it's going to be about John Quincy. But it'll be about John Quincy Adams, maybe.
That's the son, isn't it?
It's the son.
Yeah.
Their perfect product, their most perfect product, John
really?
Quincy Adams, who at the age of 11 went with his father to Europe, didn't see his mother again until he was 18. She sent a boy abroad with his father. When she went abroad to meet them, she found a man, and she was quite astonished. He was beautiful. He knew 8 languages. He had traveled all over Europe. John Quincy Adams was the fulfillment of the Adamses' idea of service to the nation, service to other people, and that's what he did for his life.
You know, I never realized that. You know, to me, he was just another one of the presidents.
Another one of the, he was one of the greats. He was really one of the greats. Not as president so much, because his presidency was foreshortened, as was his father's. but he's the only president who, after he was defeated for the presidency by Jackson, went into the House of Representatives and served for 12 years in the House of Representatives, supporting, number one, slave petitions, anti-slave petitions, and after that, petitions for women's rights.
Good. We'll have to look at the book. I just want to make a fast summary statement. It seems to me your book is written so it's really accessible to the public, and you found a special niche, the view of the Revolutionary War through a woman's eyes, but yet you also linked it in to one of the most powerful men at the time, John Adams, and you've helped show how the consciousness of women's rights has developed. And I want to thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest is Edith Gellis, Stanford. And I want to say her work and some other folks' work has motivated me to make a painting called The Right to Choose. And it's sort of part of the consciousness, but probably it also adds a little bit of the movement of the feminist. That is not it, but I will be showing that painting on my next TV show. This is a painting I just finished for what I call my Transcendence series. It's 6 foot long, 5 foot high, and I'm going to have to leave it to the imagination of all viewers to determine what aspect of